We're back at the Rainbow Retreat Lodge 2018 with one of our favorite dentists, probably one of our, he's up there,
dentist,
Dr. Andy
absolutely.
Cohen from Philly, not Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. And we just thought we got the doctors over here, Dr. Kevin Cohen, Dr. Andy Cohen, and the coaches, whatever you want to call us, over here. And we just thought we'd take...
Well, coach.
Yeah, coaches too, yeah.
Fine. So I'm one of the doctor.
Yes.
Doctor. It's a pleasure. And pleasure.
Well, we just thought Deb and I take a few minutes because I got introduced to you, Andy, by Dr. Doug Sandquist in Las Vegas, and he said to connect with you, and so then we talked for a few months, and then finally you had me come out to do an analysis, business financial analysis, and I flew into Pittsburgh, and I was supposed to fly into Philly, but we all got it worked out, and so here it's probably been like 2.5 years later, right?
Yeah. We are two
this
and a half
is your
years.
second time at the retreat.
That is correct.
So I guess I'll just start. I guess the purpose of this is just kind of get your feedback, or just kind of, there's a lot of dentists that have worked with coaching, consulting clients, try to improve their business, and you've worked with people before, and almost everybody that Deb and I are blessed to work with in our work, I mean, they've worked with other people, and I guess from your perspective, I think, what is your thoughts about when we started with you, just insights that you can offer to other dentists in the future, what's possible, what did you see when you started with, where were you at personally, professionally, financially, if you want to share anything about that, and then what's your thoughts now?
Should we check to see if this camera is on real film right now, or is it digital?
That's good. Remember, I'm a beast. It's a great question. I had thought that I had answers, and through great colleagues like Doug Sandquist, I realized that I had a whole nother level that I could achieve. For me, it was less about clinical and more about culture. I was struggling with day-to-day happiness with my job, and I refused to go back to where I had been 5 years before, where I had thought about quitting dentistry. And what I came to realize is that I had an unbelievable opportunity if I just got out of my own way and took the guidance that you started when you came out, and then Deb when she did the retreat, because I needed more help than I thought, because everyone was telling me how great I was doing. And what I quickly realized was that it made me a better person, both at home and at work. And I had the opportunity to finally communicate what was inside to my staff and my patients and the community. And I could not have done that alone. I think the hardest thing was signing on the line. Any way you slice it, it is a leap of faith. You don't know enough. It is an unknown about the path that you are going down. And I remember when I referred another one of my colleagues to you, the same conversation I had with Doug, she called me and had with me, and I said, trust in them. They are more than business colleagues. They are true friends who want you to do as well as you do. And I thought that that is what was so unique, because while I had never worked with a consulting group before, I was very much negatively influenced by stories that my friends have had gone through. And I think while I had a lot to do with it, the turnaround in my office from a cash flow standpoint to an emotional and cultural level of happiness has been staggering. I mean, just I never thought I could be here that fast, and how I'm continuing to grow and hit new levels that I never thought that I would hit, both clinically and, again, emotionally, and just from a happiness standpoint. I didn't understand originally when you asked me spiritual questions, and it doesn't, yeah, well, on the questionnaire.
Oh, okay.
You know, where do you want to be in 5 years spiritually? I didn't understand. I took that, spiritually can mean so many different things. It can mean religious, it can mean what's in your heart, it can mean where you want to go. And I am much more full than I was when I started.
Well, if you believe that a practice has a soul, which I believe it does, because there's people there, then how do you bring that soul to life, to revitalize not just your position as a leader, dentist, CEO, whatever you want to call yourself, but the people that work with you, you know?
I think one of the biggest things is when a clinician is stressed about the financial aspect, they cannot look within, because they're more worried about they're being pulled by an anchor. And when you have a plan in place that can make such an immediate turnaround, that can just allow you to breathe, you have the ability at that point to work on the second component, which is culture. I believe that numbers are just numbers, but you need just as strong as a cultural growth as you do with your staff, with your team, with your patients, that interaction. Everything that your systems that you brought to the office helps create that level of care that, as a byproduct, make your numbers improve.
Yeah, and I'll say one more thing. I want to get Deb's kind of insights with you, but the minute I did your analysis, and then the next day I came into your practice just to kind of review things, and when I presented you, like, okay, you want to say, okay, when do I get going? And I'm like, and you like wanted to start like 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see about that. But then we were able to do that. But then I remember, okay, give me another book. I gave you the E-Myth book to read, and then I got home. I literally got home in Arizona on my flight. You called me the next day. Okay, what's the next book I need to read? What do you mean the next book? I read it already. And then it was...
you called him from Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble.
And I'm like, okay. And then 2 days later, another book. And I'm like, this guy is either crazy, on fire. And I told Deb, he's already read like 4 books. And I knew you were going to do well, because I know Deb was going to connect with you. And then, you know, you're a New Yorker, Philly. It's you just got to break the ice.
Let's edit out the New Yorker part.
Okay, Philly.
Say Philly.
You're in Rocky territory with my, heroes,
The
Rocky.
Super Bowl champions.
But even Rocky needs support. Adrian had Buckus. We all need.
There is no question. And
Hey, Buckus. He just said that too.
I know. Adrian. I'm a big believer in allowing yourself to be vulnerable so you can be helped. I think if you are not vulnerable, you end up getting in your own way. And most of the time, it's actually, while we think that the problems are external, they're actually internal. I think that we have a lot of work to do with ourselves, and why we sometimes, what we think we need to focus on, we start to realize that, wow, there are other things that there are other ways. And I think that's the insight that Deb really helped create for me personally, is to say, okay, well, these are the 5 things that we're going to work on initially that's going to really turn things around, and just relax. And that's really how the process went for me. I had so many questions, and she says, okay, We're going to get to them. I want you just to focus on here. Yeah. She put blinders on me that allowed me to focus in on really where the trouble was. And my practice was leaking, and it was creating a lot of personal stress. And to turn it around as fast as we did allowed me to really get what my true goal was happiness with my staff and patient care.
And then I think you were telling me yesterday, that you didn't really believe any of the numbers I showed you when I did the financial audit. Didn't really believe I think a lot of dentists don't even believe it's even possible that can turn around like that. Isn't that true? Like you don't.
I made the decision to join you and took your barest of predictions. The minimalist prediction, and I said if I could just do the minimum, it would be worth it. And your minimum was, I'm willing to guarantee an 8% change or something like that, and I think an improvement in my overhead, and we went down 22%.
Wow!
In my first year, I was bad.
Now that's focus.
Deb was really.
Deb's great, and sometimes there's low-lying fruit. Right?
Yeah, I was definitely. Well, it was
a good combo.
Well, I mean, I think that actually is a good comment. I think when you have the clinical education that I have been fighting for so long, it made one of her jobs easier, where you gave me the skill to know how to present cases and then do the work, where I could back up what I considered the expectation that I had for my office. So I was really able to focus on that one aspect. And that was I was fortunate in that respect. But the numbers you showed me weren't even the real numbers. It was far worse. Once we really got everything and figured out that where everything needed to be. And that was the interesting thing. I mean, my accountants were always telling me that, I'm right in line with everything, but it just was the wrong formula for me to stay in front. And
be in a pressure to really keep producing your way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was robbing Peter to pay Paul all the time. And it was just, I was not happy. And I didn't deserve to feel that way because I had an incredible practice with so much potential. Well, I think it was successful, but it had potential to do even better, which it has significantly.
And any thoughts from you, Deb, on just...
Well, I was with Andy on his journey with leadership, really.
Oh, yeah.
And truly, that's what Andy embraced. When you spoke with him about giving him some tools to say, hey, you might read this, and you might read that, and you might read this. That was Andy's commitment to saying, I'm going to take responsibility, and I'm going to lead this practice. And I may have provided some help on that, but Andy really took that responsibility to say I would lead this practice.
I remember it like yesterday when I was in front of my staff at a meeting and I said, I have failed you all in being a leader. And this is what I'm prepared to do because I did not listen. And, that was they didn't believe me at first. They just thought it was going to be, Dr. Cohen is into something new this week. And, they figured it out pretty quickly. I mean, Deb and I just were on the same path. We fed off each other from the get-go. And when you came out, I think everybody realized, wow, this is something different. And that's been great.
Yeah, and truly, you kept a very open mind about your team. And, sometimes reputation that consultants have is they come in and they say, who should be sitting in what chair and who needs to be getting out of here and who needs to be doing this and who needs to be doing that. And there are probably people that are capable of doing that. That is not really something that has been something that I feel comfortable doing, but rather kind of coming in and saying, what is the vision of the doctor? And do the people that are on this team understand that and also share that vision? And we were surprised, weren't we?
Very. There are
how they reacted when you really were authentic and vulnerable and shared what your vision was and what you and why you wanted it, and you were maybe even surprised that those that you would not have thought of as being sharing those same values and wanting that same thing.
I think
really
we gave
did.
them an opportunity to weigh in that they never really had before. So then they got on board and they felt like their voice mattered and that I was listening for the first time, like really listening. Always cared. I had no turnover, but it was, I wasn't sure. As a matter of fact, there were 2 people that I thought would not make it. And they completely changed and are probably now my 2 strongest employees that I have. It's amazing.
Yeah, just keeping that
Yeah.
open mind.
And I think it's just like with anything, with life, a business. You know, when you're in your 20s and 30s as a man or a woman, you think, well, if I'm 40 or 50, it's going to get easier. And you realize seasons change and things are different. And in business, is just like an organization, like a human body. You have to revitalize it. I mean, this course is called Vitality, right? The vital person vitalizes, and as a leader, that's a role that we take. Just like a father, you want to see your kids do well, be vital in life, and yeah.
You know what? I think that's really like a 2-way street, and I think the interaction between the 2 of you, and now you.
Sorry.
Thanks for skipping out on me when I'm done.
You're not done.
Yeah.
You're just beginning.
I think that the 2 of you, there was such a bond of your willingness to grow and learn from me, where I had a very different approach to how some of your offices were and how we were able to help each other. Sure. And there was I'm fortunate enough to be able to tell people how much their lives can be better. And I think you are an unbelievable addition to that team, that it is sky's the limit. And I'm not saying that because
I'm sitting right next to
you're
you.
sitting next to me. That's the truth.
You wouldn't be saying it if I wasn't sitting next to you.
Well,
Let's agree on that.
It's something that I always wanted. I always thought that there was an opportunity, and it's something that Doug Sanquest and myself talked about, that maybe we could help with online case presentations. And it is, because not everyone is as fortunate as some to have just made that educational journey where you know that component is really strong.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure working with your practice and being on site with your practice. I know I'll be on site with your practice again. I don't doubt that. But the fact that we have that relationship that will be forever is really, quite a treasure as well.
Yes,
And
I would agree.
I feel very humbled.
As do I. Next time you come out, we're going to get that big ziti pizza. I will not be giving that to you because there is a whole lot of gluten in that one.
Yeah, not going there.
But Andy and I,
we are going to make a special trip.
Yeah.
And when Kevin comes out, I will force it down his throat. You will go. Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking the time.
It's my pleasure.
Yes.
It's good to laugh, have fun in the process.
Thank you for
too. Yeah.
allowing me to get to where I am.
You're welcome.
I couldn't
Thank
have
you for
done it without
Thank you
you.
for helping us
Thank
as
you for
well.
taking
Yeah.
me on your journey,
Yes.
Well,
because it's always fun.
I have to be honest with you. I actually just kind of grabbed onto you, and you've been trying to get away, and I just kept pulling.
True.
And thank you for helping me get to my journey,
No, you're welcome.
which is
And
awesome.
the bell
Goes
tolls
both
for
ways.
the.
And there you go.
It's
Thank
it-
you.